That's a great way to start this stream. Hack up a damn lung. I'm just getting over bronchitis. Yes. Not the flu, thank God, but bronchitis. So, yeah, it was, I didn't feel terrible. Um, I had a stuffy nose. That's about it. I never had a headache, unless it was a self-induced headache. But mostly just this nasty ass cough I've been dealing with. But man, let's get into it. Um, I'll just start off right off the bat. Not a lot of people have joined my streams in the past. Oh, there's already 3 people watching. But let's get into this. I have not made a video since Georgia lost the national championship game, which is now over a month, and I've been getting a lot of people saying, "Where you at?" A couple fellow Bucks fans have been saying, "I missed the videos about the Bucks, talk about the Bucks off season and whatnot." I think I even did a live stream before the national championship game about the coaching situation. Um, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember anyways. But I guess I'll pop up on here and we'll talk about the off season. We could talk about the Lightning. I'll talk about the Lightning. We could talk about the Rays and how they're gonna move to Ybor. What's up, Raider Mike? Um, so I mean, we could talk about, yeah, just about anything. I've been working a shit ton recently, so I finally had a day off and finally can come talk to these people who have been telling me that I need to make a video or something, and I don't really need to make a video, but I'm bored, so why not? Um, First, okay, we can talk about the Lightning and how well they're doing. The Lightning are like killing it. There's no other way you could say what they're doing right now. They're absolutely playing incredible hockey. They are scary good. I just hope that this outstanding year they have put together so far can turn into something special in June. So we'll see what happens with them. Um, Players that I think are doing outstanding. Obviously, Braden Point's on that list. Yanni Gord. Stamkos is playing really well. Who can forget Nikita Kucherov? Andrei Vasilevsky. He's proved me wrong in so many ways. I thought Steve Eiserman was dumb for getting rid of Ben Bishop, and it turned out to be a good move. The same with trading Drouin to Montreal for Mikhail Sergachev. Sergachev has proved to be one of the better rookies in the league this year, and one of the better defensemen in the league already. But we already knew that there was something special coming with Sergachev because Sergachev was Montreal's top D man prospect. So I'm really excited with how this team is playing right now. I'm really excited with how their their ability to not only win games, but when they're winning. Excuse me. When they're winning, they're doing it in an exciting fashion. I mean, these guys, they can put up 4 or 5 goals in a game at a time, and it's pretty incredible to watch. So, wish you guys luck next season. This is the reason why I don't hate Bucks. It's our fault. We got rid of Gruden in the first place. Yeah, was it? And you guys knew our off. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to say to people for years. It's what I've been trying to say to people for years, that it wasn't Gruden's fault that y'all didn't change y'all's offense um, for that next year. And who knew that in that February the Raiders would play the Bucks in the Super Bowl? When we hired Gruden, who knew that the Bucks and the Raiders would meet in the Super Bowl the following season? You can't tell me you knew that in February of 2002. So, and saying to the Raiders, I wish you guys luck. I wish the best at Gruden. I think he's gonna turn the Raiders into a contender if they already weren't. But yeah, man, I think as far as going back to the Lightning, I think they're playing um, extremely well. They're doing and they're beating teams in extremely well fashion. So that's that. Now we can get into I guess what the Bucks are doing for the off season. Of course, it's quiet now. The calendar the NFL calendar year doesn't start till March, I think, right next month. But there's already talks coming out about how we're gonna cut Baker, Fitzpatrick, Martin. I think those are the only three rumored cuts we're making off the bat. So, um, what was I gonna say? Off the bat, cutting those three guys. Fitzpatrick did his job. Do I think Fitzpatrick did his job? He came in, he won games. He wasn't terrible. He didn't turn the ball over a lot, and he put the Bucks in winning situations. He I think he won two games, two out of the three games he started. So he started the Atlanta game, we lost. He started the Jets game, we won, and the Dolphins game we tried to give away but won. And I think that was it for his starting tenure. He might have started one more game. I can't remember. I know he played in the Arizona game and almost led us to a comeback. And I think he only started in three games. Martin, he's been a disappointment. And since the whole Adderall situation and him failing the drug test, I guess, or whatever, we are allowed to cut him, and I think we should because he's been disappointing, very disappointing. And other than the 2 years, his rookie year and the year before his contract expired, um, other than that, he's been a very disappointing running back, and he's hasn't hasn't shown, and he keeps getting hurt too. So Martin is not holding up to expectations. Chris Baker. Chris Baker is a dickhead, for one. Um, do you think the Bucks should bring on Malcolm Butler? I'll get to that in a second. Let me finish up what I was going to say about Chris Baker. Chris Baker is a loudmouth who didn't perform on the field and also laughed when he got offsides in the Panthers game on Christmas Eve. So right after, if you come off and you do something stupid like that and you're laughing that you just lost a game, get off my team. Losing is not funny, especially when you're on this team and you lost like 6 games in a row in a combined points of a field goal. Um, as far as Malcolm Butler, do I think the Bucks should go after him? If he's available, sure, why not? Yes, we need all the help we can get on defense, and our secondary. I'm not going to say it's awful, but I think Malcolm Butler could be a good piece to the secondary, especially if Brent Grimes does not stay on. Um, Nobody knows what's going on. And not only is this the end of Grimes' contract this year, he's also, a lot of talks about him retiring with age and stuff. So I think Malcolm Butler could be a good piece for this defense, um, and a good addition to the defense, anyways. So we'll see. Nobody can know for sure, but the main focus for the Bucks, as far as pieces they need on defense, is the defensive line. Their defensive line, I say, other than Gerald McCoy, Noah Spence, Quentin McDonald, and Will Golston, I think that entire defensive line needs new personnel. I think Robert Ayers needs to go. Obviously, Chris Baker needs to go. Um, so bring in new pieces, and we'll see. Um, being a Georgia fan and a Georgia homer, I would love the Bucks to go after Lorenzo Carter in a later round if he's there. Um, Really would like to see them gamble and go after my boy Roquan Smith, but we already have three solid linebackers. I don't think they'll do that. But a lot of people are saying Roquan Smith. I think if the Bucks were to take Roquan Smith and do what they did with Noah Spence, remember Noah Spence was a linebacker coming out of Ohio State, and Roquan Smith is the same way, linebacker coming out of Georgia. If the Bucks gambled and took him, he'd be a great pass rusher. That's just the homer side from Georgia, but I think the Bucks are going to take a actual decent defensive lineman. So we'll see as far as this. So yeah, as far as the Malcolm Butler situation, I say go for it. Yeah. There's one player I do not want the Bucks to bring back, and that's Aqib Talib. Aqib Talib's a head case, and he's not worth all that money. I totally agree with that. Raider Mike, and that's not even being a Georgia homer. Roquan Smith is raw talent, and he was something special to watch at Georgia, especially this year. You have to excuse my cough. Like I said at the beginning, I'm getting over bronchitis. So, and I guess to the next topic until I get some more questions in. The Rays are moving to Ybor City. Personally, that's a better move. That's a good move. It's not going to happen for another 3 to 5 years, but I think they should have moved to Tampa a long time ago, being that Tampa Bay Rays and they were playing out of St. Pete. That and the Trop is a dump. That place is a dump to go watch a baseball game at, and you can't do anything in there. So maybe it's the first. They're not moving per se. They're changing look. They're relocating. They're not playing in St. Pete anymore. They're playing in Ybor City, which is closer to Tampa than it is St. Pete. So I for one, I live 15, 20 minutes away from Ybor City, so I'll be definitely going to more games. Do I think the Bucks should switch to a 3-4 defense? I think it would be smart. Yeah, but I mean, Mike Smith. You already heard Dirk Carter come out and say that the Bucks are not changing anything. He's not changing his coaching staff. They're not changing their play style. They're not changing anything. So I mean, you could come out and say the Bucks need to change this, that, and everything about the way they do things and who's running it. It's not going to happen. I mean, everything's going to stay the same. Carter already came out and said that in his in a press conference after the season was over. He already said, changes are going to happen, yes, but Mike Smith's not going anywhere. He's not changing. He's not giving up play calling. They're not changing any kind of styles. So there's no point in even trying to debate that, or even try to say the Bucks should do this and this is what they need to do, because it's not going to happen, because Carter already came out and said that nothing's changing. So it would be a nice thought for the Bucks to switch things up and do things as far as what the talent on the team can can do, but we'll see. Do I want us to get Michael Bennett back? I think Michael Bennett is it would be it's 50-50 with Michael Bennett. The guy talks a lot, for one, so I don't know how that would go over in our locker room. Our locker room's not really consisted of a lot of players who talk, a lot of players that run their mouths. That's definitely not something a lot of our players do. So Michael Bennett's a great talent. Don't get me wrong. I think he would be a great addition to our defensive line. He's fast and he can get to the quarterback, but I mean, I don't know if the Bucks would want somebody like him on the team. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all the trouble he's already caused in Seattle. He wanted to fight a fan. I don't know, what he would do down here. You never know. I would like to see him back, but it really just depends on if the Bucks are willing to put up with his mouth. Yeah, I wonder who got me this hat. Can't remember who did. Anyways, uh, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the way a lot of people, one of the keys to a successful team is you have to have a locker room full of guys who want to play for each other and guys who are on the same page. The Bucks have that. Our locker room is a tight group. We have a tight group of players who are a family. I think what the problem was last year is was mainly coaching, in my opinion, and execution to the point too. And certain things not being on point as they should have been, and injuries as well. But in order to be a tight or in order to be a successful franchise, you have to, or a successful team. You gotta have a team. You gotta have a locker room full of people who are willing to play for one another. John Gruden will change the mindset in Oakland. Less loud guys like Lynch and more football players or football focused guys. Yeah, I told you that's how he ran things in Tampa. That's how he ran things in Tampa. I mean, how many guys did you hear out of the Bucks locker room when Gruden was here that were actually like that talked? Was Aqib Talib? I think Aqib Talib was drafted after Gruden was gone. Derek Brooks didn't talk. I don't know about Cato June. Cato June could have been. Michael Clayton was annoying, but Michael Clayton didn't. Michael Clayton talked, but Michael Clayton couldn't back it up. What's the biggest issue is he's the same dude in year 3 that he was in year 1. I could see that. Yeah, I think that's true because he did. He forced a lot of passes. I think we saw the Winston that we, know from Florida State too a little bit last year because he was off target with a lot of his throws and he turned the ball over a lot. Were there some good things that he did in year 3? Yes. Other than his situation in New Orleans with that Lattimore kid, he's kind of calmed down a little bit. Well, yeah, that's true too. That's true too. Gator B8. That's right. Okay, that's it. Gator, or is that supposed to be Gator Bait or Gator B8? But John Gruden will switch his team around. Yes, he will. He's not stupid when he that is true. Yeah, I figured. That's funny. McDonald's has the best fucking Coke ever. People often ask me if I like it from a glass, a bottle, or a can, or in a float. Coke from McDonald's is like the greatest way to have Coke. So, but yeah, I do think that John Gruden will turn around the Raiders. Unless the Broncos find a QB, Oakland and KC will run that division. Yes. Yeah. The Chargers will be the Browns without Rivers. And that's sad too because Phillip Rivers is up there and one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Other than his ability to choke. They're going to have they're going to start that one kid. Who's that kid? That backup quarterback whose name I don't know how to say. Oh God, I can't think of that guy's name. The backup for Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes, yeah. Yeah, they've been praising. I've heard Chiefs fans, they've been wanting that guy to start for a while. So I haven't personally seen him play, um, but I've heard Kansas City fans "Ah," act like he's the next coming of Jesus, or like a great pig for barbecue, because that's how KC rolls. They barbecue. I don't pay attention to other teams like that. I mean, I know the obvious things there is to know about other teams, but if it's not the Bucks, I really don't give a shit. Just like college, I don't know a lot of out unless they're like I've heard their names on ESPN or I've watched them. I mean, the best knowledge I have about players in college football is Georgia or other teams in the SEC East. I mean, that's not saying I don't. I mean, I love the game of football, but it's not my team. If you could add any player on a rival team, who would you put in Tampa? Alvin Kamara. Either Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. My dad wants us to do that. Gator bait. My dad wants us to get Saquon Barkley, but I personally think the Bucks need to go defense in the first round, whether it be a pass rusher or maybe yeah. Well, I do think that, not even that they need to get a pass rusher. They need to get a pass rusher. Maybe I don't know if they should trade up to get Saquon Barkley, whatever. But that um, I think that they're going to be more defense oriented in this draft. I don't know if they're going to take a running back. What's going on, Philly boy from Texas? Congratulations on y'all winning the Super Bowl. Philadelphia finally popped their Super Bowl cherry. That was a damn good game to see too. Uh, yeah, we do need a Khalil Mack. Well, we already have one, actually. We have Quan Alexander. But we need a defensive lineman that can add speed on the edge for Gerald McCoy to be fast in the middle. So we already have our Khalil Mack. If he may not be as good as Khalil Mack, but we have our Khalil Mack. Nah, I heard Chubb's draft stock has dropped tremendously with the way he played in the national championship game. Me personally, it's hard for me to pick who the better back was out of Georgia, but if you watch the last oh if you watch the last 3 games, the SEC championship game, the Rose Bowl, and the national championship game, Sony Michel played a lot better than this Nick Chubb did. Raider Mike, I think, yeah, they probably are the weakest division in the NFL. The AFC South is. I don't see. Yeah, that would probably be a an accurate statement there. Teams from the AFC South make it to the playoffs because, well, you have to put somebody from there in, right? It wasn't like early on when it was Steve McNair and Peyton Manning and oh fuck, who used to quarterback? Who's really good? David Gerard and all. Beforehand it was early 2000s, mid 2000s. I mean the Colts always won it, but their competition was pretty good with Tennessee when they had Steve McNair and Jacksonville when they were doing a little better in the early 2000s with Brunell and Fred Taylor, and then when the Maurice Jones-Drew came along, and they had Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell before Keenan McCardell came here. Now Jacksonville's better known for their defensive side of the ball, which is fucking nasty. That defense is nasty. I think J.J. Watt is is that good, but who knows with these injuries he keeps getting. How he's going to play next year, because he keeps getting hurt, and if he keeps getting, it's just going to wear down his body. Yeah, I could see that. We'll see how long they can stay consistent, but Jacksonville's defense is fucking nasty. And take it from somebody who's seen some good defense in his day. I was spoiled with good defense when I was a kid. But yeah, that's 5 people watching. I don't know why I ran out of shit to talk about. I talked about what I wanted to talk about. Which Florida team will win a Super Bowl next? I have no idea. I could not answer that question right now. Who's the next Florida team to go to a Super Bowl? Probably Jacksonville. If the Eagles won the Super Bowl, anything can happen. He is the most underrated. It's true. Lavonte David doesn't get nearly as much credit as he should. How he hasn't won Defensive Player of the Year already? Which year? I think it was his 2013. How he didn't win the Defensive Player of the Year in 2013 is beyond me. I think it was either 2013 or his rookie year in 2012. He should have won Defensive Player of the Year already. Fuck no, the Dolphins aren't going to a Super Bowl. What do you think this is? 1972 was 50 years ago, almost. That shit ain't happening. The Lions will go to the Super Bowl before the Dolphins go back. Nah, I'm playing. The Browns will have a 500 season before the Dolphins go back to the Super Bowl. That's actually more likely. I couldn't even say that with a straight face. No, it's hard to tell which Florida team's going to go back to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl. He's just trying to rile me up. Nah. Be on the benches, Justin. You don't know nothing. JT don't know nothing. He don't know nothing. He don't know nothing. It's all good though. He just trying to get me riled up. Same guy who said Rondé Barber was overrated too. I can't remember who did it, but one of our players stole the ball from Jarvis Landry. He ripped that shit out. How is Rondé Barber overrated? I don't get it. I mean, the man was, I think he was like the first cornerback to get 40 interceptions. Like, he had like the most interceptions and most sacks out of any cornerback in NFL history. Or he was like the youngest player to reach 40 sacks and 40 interceptions in a career, something like that. He was the first to do something. I think he had like 47 interceptions and like 42 sacks or some shit like that. Wow. Damn, there's 6 people watching this. I think this is the most I've ever had in a live stream. I didn't think people would watch this. It was just easier for me to make a freaking live video than it would have been to think about what to say for an actual video, and then it take 2.5 minutes to upload. Thank you! And he had over 40 interceptions. He was a lockdown corner. In his prime. Now, later on, later on in like the end of the Raheem order and the beginning of the Schiano order, he started getting burnt a lot more. But that's because he was like, what? In his 30s? He was like in 34, 35. I think he played till he was 35. I'm not sure. I think he's going to be the next Ring of Honor guy. I think that's who the Bucks are going to put in the Ring of Honor next. I'm out of Coke. That's a bad thing. That's good. That was tasting good, too. Who's the greatest sports player in Tampa history? Whew. As in combined with the Bucks, Lightning, and the Rays? Shit, because I could tell you who was the best player in the team's history for each team. But as far as in the Tampa area itself, as in the entire city, Vincent Lecavalier. I think Vinny, because not only was Vinny a tremendous player hockey player, but he's given back to the community. He has his own foundation here that's like really successful in the All Children's Hospital. He set franchise records in every category. They were broken, but I think he holds a lot of them still. And he won a championship here. And the whole city loved Vinny Lecavalier. I think Vinny Lecavalier was the greatest whatever. I think after his contract is up, I think the Bucks will let go of Deshaun Jackson, because I think this year they saw with Chris Godwin that they can pursue him I think Chris Godwin showed up those two games that Deshaun Jackson was held out of. I think after his contract is up, unless Jackson puts up these crazy numbers next season, I think the Bucs will let go of Deshaun Jackson after his contract's up. And we'll get to see Chris Godwin shine, because Chris Godwin's going to be something special. And I said that when we drafted him. Chris Godwin was going to be good. You will soon call him Chris Goodwin. What record does Cutter need to save his job? A playoff record. He needs to go in the playoffs in order to save his job. That's it. Whether the playoffs get you, whether it gets you a 9-7 and gets you in a wild card, or double digits, you need to get your ass in the playoffs, because that's what's going to save his job. If he doesn't make the playoffs, he's done. No, he might. I think he's in his early 30s. He's not in his 40s. I'm gonna die. This cough is going to kill me. But yeah, Deshaun, I don't know. He's not in his 40s. He's in his early 30s. That's the oldest I think he is. But yeah, Cutter needs to make the playoffs or he needs to be fired. That's just point blank. And end of the sentence. Period. As Uncle Lou would say. I don't even watch that guy that much no more. I didn't watch him that much during the season. Until he came out with those "Come Get You Some Bitch" videos. Those were pretty funny. All those people saying, if you want some, come get you some, bitch, or whatever. I think I was in the Alabama one for the national championship game. But yeah. We are going on 40 minutes and 3 people are watching. It does feel that way. I mean, he's been on what, 3? We're his 3rd team now. He was with the Eagles until like what, 2014, and then he's with hell, he might just be just 30. Because if you think about it, in his early 20s, and he played for the Eagles for like what, 4 years, 5 years, and then played with Washington for like 2 or 3. He was either 29 or 30 or 31, one of the two. He's like gotta be in his early 30s. But it does feel like he's been around a while because he's been on 3 different teams. I had to get rid of that ball. It's got no place up there. That might. Oh, well, it didn't hit it that time, but my head usually hits it. How about this? Found this badass Mountain Dew can. I had to get 2 of them. Hold on. Fuck. Oh. I was a big Dale Jr. fan growing up. And I found these badass Mountain Dew cans at a Citgo. I got 2 of them. Of course, I got a whole bag full of Bud Light Bucks cans. In the Super Bowl 50 aluminum bottle they came out with a couple of years ago. And I got these cutouts. There's Warren Sapp. Somewhere along this line, there's Derek Brooks, and then there's another one of Mike Allstott. This whole wall is like my Bucks wall. But, yeah. Yeah, it is. They need to get him on a long-term deal. So, I mean, I don't know how much it's rumored. He's asking for a lot of money. It's rumored, and I don't know if the Bucks want to pay him that much money because there's a lot of other players they have to. There's a lot of other players they have to lock up too. Like in 2 years, we're gonna be talking. Can you believe in 2 years we'll be talking contract negotiations with Jameis Winston? He's in his fourth year now, and then next year we have the fifth year option. I think that's crazy that that's already coming. That like this is the final year of the rookie contract already. And we still only got one above 500 record. But that's not his fault. That's coaching. But yeah, I have run out of things to talk about. So unless there's like questions, it does. Remember being in Ray J and watching that shit happen, and half the stadium went nuts, and the other half was not happy. I don't know if the Bucks want to spend the money for Le'Veon Bell. I think they're gonna draft a running back if they wanted another running back. Yeah, I don't know if I would want to spend the money on Le'Veon Bell, especially when there's good running back talent in the draft, and the Bucks already have. I mean, I think Jacquizz Rodgers is different. Top draft. Oh lordy. Well, like I've already said, I believe the Bucks need to draft, need to be mainly a defensive draft. Mainly whether they go pass, they need to build on their pass rush. That's obvious, and they need to build on the secondary because there's piece. Granted, you don't know how good that secondary is per se because your secondary, how good your secondary is how it depended on how good your defensive line is. So if the Bucks had a defensive line that was worth a damn in 2017, maybe their secondary could have been just as good. Because we do have, I think our talent is solid in the secondary. I think Brent Grimes is good. Hopefully he sticks around. I really like the way Justin Evans played in the second half of the year. It took him some time to develop, but I really like the way he played. Um, who else did I like that played decently? I almost said Bradley McDougall's name, but I know Bradley McDougall's gone, and I still can't get over that. I think um, Ryan Smith played decent. Uh, Bernard Hargraves, he had a down year this year, but he spent most of the year hurt, so you can't really, if he would have stepped in, he missed a lot of time in the second half of the year, so maybe he'll be better next year with some time. So I think it'll just be What do you mean I don't know the draft? I know what my team needs. I may not know what players to get, but I know what my team needs. Like I said, outside of my teams, I don't really I shouldn't say pay attention, but I don't really know players to get. But I do know what they need. I can't tell you which defensive linemen, other than the ones that play for Georgia out in the country. I couldn't tell you the one, that kind of stuff. I mean, I watch my team. I don't really watch any other teams. I'm not the guy that's gonna sit here. I watch on Saturdays. I watch Georgia football. I don't watch Arkansas or Penn State or Clemson. Or on Sundays, I watch Bucks football. I don't watch the Bills or the Jaguars or I don't. So when it comes to knowing what players to get this draft, I couldn't tell you anything a lot about them except for the obvious players, the Heisman watch from last year. So I can't tell you what players the Bucs should get, but I can tell you what positions they can. I can tell you what positions they need to go, what the team needs are, and it's obvious. The team needs is defensive line. Like I said, maybe in the secondary because your defensive line is, your secondary is dependent on your defensive line. So we don't know how bad the Bucs secondary would have been had they had a decent defensive line to fall back on. Had they had had a line of people that could hit the quarterback. Because if the quarterback has all fucking day to throw the ball, he's gonna find somebody to throw to, and that's not the secondary's fault. I mean, it's not to say I don't care about the draft because I know that's where the I know that's where most teams build their franchises. I mean, look at the Bucs. That defense was built through the draft. Derek Brooks was drafted. Warren Sapp was drafted. John Lynch was drafted. Rondé Barber was drafted. Donnie Abraham drafted. Nobody knows who he is, I bet, but I do. Brian Kelly, he was drafted. Simeon Rice was a free agent. Anthony McFarland, I think, was drafted. Shelton Quarles drafted. That Tampa 2 defense was mostly drafted. So I understand that some teams were built through look at the 70s Steelers. They were built through the draft. The 80s Niners, most of it was built through the draft. It's not like the Patriots who were built through free agents. They were built through the draft. They're built on both things. Or it's like not like you get the point. I do understand that the draft is where teams are built. But my knowledge on certain players might not be as good as, like I think the Bucs should take Lorenzo Carter. That's who I think is the best defensive lineman in the draft. I don't give a shit if it's this fucker from Clemson or this fucker from Louisville or this fucker from Kent State or whatever. I'll straight up tell you, Lorenzo Carter is the best pass rusher in the draft. I don't give a fuck if you say if it's otherwise. That's just my opinion. Now, there may be somebody better. But until you come on my team, I'm not going to give a shit to really look at it. Like O.J. Howard. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't know who O.J. Howard was when we drafted him. I knew he came from Alabama, but I didn't know much about O.J. Howard. And I didn't know that he would be a good add to this offense until after I watched highlights of O.J. Howard. So I'm not like that. So other people are like that, and that's cool. That's cool. Kudos to you. You know more than I do about this guy or that guy or that guy. Let me tell you what I know about this guy who plays for my team. So yeah, that's that. It's my take on the draft. I don't know who they would get, but I know they need help on defense, and mostly in the defensive line department. And if they wanted to take Roquan Smith, that would not hurt my feelings. But I think Roquan Smith will end up elsewhere. Oh, that's a hard one. I'll tell you Todd Gurley just because I'm a Georgia fan. But I'm not taking anything away from Alvin Kamara. I think somebody asked me a question earlier on in the stream if I could take one person from my team's division, from anywhere from my division to put him on Tampa. I said Alvin Kamara. Because Alvin Kamara is a freaking beast. It's like Reggie Bush. He can do it all. Damn, I've been almost sitting here for an hour. I can see that. You know, like I said, I would love the Bucks to take Roquan Smith, but I don't know if he'll be there. So, and I don't know if they would take that. If they would take another linebacker, but they could do what they did with Noah Spence. I think I said it earlier. Noah Spence was the linebacker out of Ohio State, and he became he was put on the defensive line. Oh, I know who they're looking at. I don't know who that they might be, but I do try to catch your videos a lot. But you do a lot of streams, RTP. You do a lot of streams in the middle of the day, and most of the time in the middle of the day I'm working, so I don't get to catch it. And I don't. Most of the time I don't have a. I'm not trying to dish you or anything, but I don't have a lot of time to sit for sometimes 50 minutes to an hour and watch it. But I do get to catch your stream sometimes. I could see you starting some sort of Bucks podcast or something like that. I think you had one for a little bit. I think you had one for a little bit, but I could see you have like a. The Pewter Report needs to hire you. You stop driving trucks, move here, and then work for the Pewter Report. I know the Pewter Report's good peoples. I know the editor. But yeah. I think that might do it. I've been sitting here for almost an hour. I haven't sat in front of a camera for almost an hour. Ugh. LaShawn McCoy or Marshawn Lynch? Marshawn Lynch. People used to ask me my favorite player off the Bucks. It used to be Marshawn Lynch. Yeah, I know you do. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But yeah, like I said, I usually do watch your streams. If I'm on, if like for example, if you're live and I'm in the middle of a break, I'll listen to it. Or if you were to go live today, probably I would probably watch it because I'm doing nothing today. I got a day off for the first time in like 5 days. So that is. Once we hit the hour mark, I think that's when I'm gonna go off the stream. So if you got anything else to say, I mean, any other questions? You got like 7 minutes and blank seconds to do so, and then I'm gonna get some laundry done. There's a few, but there's not an overbearing amount of running backs in the draft from what I've heard. I only know of 3 of them going in, like I said. True. True. Nobody's gonna watch this damn thing. Well, I think I think that's going to do it for today. Um, Thank you everybody who was in the stream earlier. I had it lasted longer than I thought it would. I wanted to only come on here for like maybe 30 minutes, but I ended up being on here for almost an hour. Yeah, rated my QR, and not trying to. I mean, as much as I enjoy answering your questions, dog, I got some things to do. So with my only day off of the week, I think I gotta get some laundry done. So y'all take care now. The stream was all right, and I don't know. Maybe we'll do another one of these about the time the calendar year starts. So I'm out.